That's beside the point. Let's pray. Let's kick it off. Dear Lord, Father, we just thank you so very much for the opportunity to come back together, talk about the handling of finances, try to be able to take care of the things in our lives that will make us have a simpler life, be able to honor you and the things that you would have us do. Guide us this evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. This is going to be fun tonight. We got a lot of things we're going to do. We always start off with the homework stuff. This is week 2, and we'll go through the homework. We'll talk a little bit about a few of the key issues. If I can get this thing to move forward. There we go. All right. I asked you to do some homework for me. I said, look, will you please organize and review your pay statements, your most recent credit bills, car loan information, and mortgage information. All your debt statements. Now, how many of you found this last week to just be so calm and peaceful? This was all so easy and simple to do. It was work, wasn't it? There's a lot of work to what we're teaching. And I told you, here's my disclaimer. Week 1, I told you, this is going to take some work. But it is worth every minute of it. Every minute of it. So I know it takes work. Now, I asked you to go through these forms because this is what you're going to use to do your Financial Snapshot Worksheet, right? Now, you didn't have to bring these in, but it's good that you organized. By the way, if you do not have all your information organized in a file somewhere by category, you ought to start thinking about doing that. Makes your life a whole lot easier. Heaven forbid you ever get audited or have something like that come up. Oh my goodness. But it is nice to have everything organized. So do consider doing that. All right. 3-ring binders. Hold them up. I want to see them. 3-ring binders. Good. Good, good, good. All right. Thank you. Good job, William. All right. Good. Now, this 3-ring binder, like ours, this is going to be what is going to guide you in your spending for the rest of your life. This isn't a temporary thing. This is a life change thing that you're going to adapt to. Right now you don't understand this, but we're going to get there over the next couple weeks, all right? All right, I asked you to purchase the binder dividers with the tabs and pockets and then put them in the binder. Did you all get those? Good, perfect, just like that. All right, good. Now, if you haven't done so already, this week for sure, I want you to label the tabs that are, you should be able to see them on the outside, so it's easy to close. You're going to label the tabs according to the 13 categories on the Financial Snapshot Worksheet. Now, is it okay to have more tabs? Yeah, if you want to, you can put some more in there. Can you have less? Yeah, if there's something that that doesn't pertain to your life, you don't have to worry about it. But the point is, I want this to be readily accessible, that you can get to it very quickly, all right? And you can handwrite them. Ours, we typed ours out. A couple of them are handwritten, but we typed ours out. Now, please bring this book every single week. The reason for that is I'm going to refer to this a lot. I want you to also ask questions. So throughout the weeks, as questions come up, just jot them down on a notebook paper, and then when you come in, let's talk about them. Because if you have a question, there's 5 other people in the class that have the same question. All right? All right, where do we start here? We always talk about the money date. Somebody share with me how your money date went this week.
Nobody was injured in the making of this binder, but it was close.
Nobody was injured. Roy said nobody was injured in the making of this binder, but it was close. There can be some conflict, agreed?
Yes.
It can be difficult to talk about these things because you've probably never done it before. We know Karen and I did not interact a whole lot about finances. I was a financial planner, so I did that all day long. When I came home, I didn't want to do it. So when we first sat down and started talking about setting things up differently so we could get out of debt, there was some conflict in there. And because of that, we had to learn to communicate better and more effectively. So it does work out. It does get better over time. Who else? Anybody else want to share a little bit? Oh, go ahead, sweetheart.
I was just going to say, I had a hard time letting go of the checkbook because it was always with me. So when he said, let me take the checkbook, I'm like, why? What do you need? What do you want to buy? It was just so hard for me to, I'm doing it for 20-some years, probably 30 years, and all of a sudden I had to let go, and that was really hard for me.
And I had questions because Karen is a person, when it comes to budgeting, she used to do what we call creative financing, which means moving things around. It's okay to hold on to this until this happens, or I'll take some money from here and I'll pay this over here.
I was good at it too.
Well, I didn't know that was going on. I had no clue. So when we sat down and a bill came in, we started doing this together. I'm like, write a check. We're done. Go ahead. This is done. Well, I didn't understand how things worked. So we had to learn that she had to give some to make me feel a little bit better about the finances, and I had to give a little bit to find medium ground so that we did not end up having discussions, shall we say, about finances, all right? So whatever happened this week, please understand, the ability to communicate about finances gets better because you have more and more money dates and you learn more about each other over time. Okay, now we've got determine your existing budget. This was tough. I know it was. All right, let's talk about that. Here's what I asked you to do. Go back 60 days, look at your tax returns. No, we're not going there. I asked you to go back and take a look at your expenditures on your credit card, your checkbook, and your debit card for the last 60 days. Then you put those into categories and look at how much you actually spent. Divide that by 2, and that becomes a starting point for the Financial Snapshot Worksheet. Somebody share with me, how'd that go? Did anybody find any surprises when you were going through it? Yes, ma'am.
I actually had something that I didn't okay, and so I had to call them and they credited my account $40. And I never look at my bank statement.
Oh my goodness, so you would not have noticed that.
I wouldn't know. Like I do a quick balance on my phone, but I never go and see what went in or what didn't.
And Janelle, would you agree that that's an important part of understanding finance?
Huge. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I spent this here and and you don't realize in the moment, but when you put it all together, everything adds up.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so it was a real eye-opener, this whole thing. I was just like, gosh, we make good money, but it doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't. And thank you for sharing that. Very important. Please understand, this is the norm. This is what happens when you start checking. Karen and I went through the same thing. Because it is just small amounts of money going in different places, if you don't pay attention, it adds up very quickly. We were spending entertainment. How much were we spending?
When we did ours, we realized that that it totaled up for 2 months, $700 for just the two of us to eat out.
What,
And that
are
was
you kidding
$350
me?
a month, and we were appalled. But because we couldn't, when did we spend this much? And because we were thinking big things, Olive Garden, Red Lobster. That's what we weren't thinking about. The donuts, the hamburgers, the running in and getting Slurpees in between. We didn't count that, and boy, that's what adds up.
Who else? Give me another story. What else did you find out about yourself? Oh, I know there's more. Go ahead, Wendy.
I was so thoroughly mortified by what I had done the first 30 days I looked at that I stopped. I didn't even do the second month because I cannot start. I can't even try to base anything on what I've done in the past. I'm gonna have to start completely.
Good to start fresh.
Because I can't say, oh, well, this is how much I spend on entertainment, so I'll just figure that out and we'll cut it into 12. No, I can't spend that much on miscellaneous. Miscellaneous was $700.
Oh, yeah, I
That's
understand.
like a quarter of my income.
I understand. It's hard to look at that, isn't it? It's hard to see it.
Embarrassing.
Karen and I have had people come through our class that their biggest concern was actually having to realize where their money is going and how much debt they have. We have unfortunately had people that they come in and they're in tears because they've just had the realization that, oh my gosh, I'm spending in a way that I'm out of control and doing it. No matter what you found, can we agree that all of us can probably do better? We can probably do better. That's why that exercise is so important, is understanding where the money's going. Very important. Anybody else want to share? One more story. Anybody else? Oh, y'all be quiet.
Okay, so we're just coming together. We just moved, our houses are now one and everything. And we started looking at all the vehicles that we have registration in. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh my gosh.
So who had them? They're all there.
10 vehicles.
So that was an eye-opener.
It is an eye-opener.
What changes are we going to make? There's 10.
And you don't think about registrations and admissions because it happens so infrequently. You don't think about that. But remember what I talked about on a budget about blocking up the fences and stopping the little things from going out? My friends, please understand it is critical to block up those holes. And that may involve getting rid of some cars or making changes in miscellaneous or whatever it is for you. But for the first time possibly in your lives, you've actually been confronted with the reality of where your money's going. And we're just getting started. We're just getting started. All right, thank you for sharing. Tracking your spending every day. All right, let's see how many honest people are in the room. How many of you every day you wrote down everything that you spent and you wrote it down somewhere? Very good. All right, for those of you who did not raise your hand, I'm with you. When we started, I had a hard time doing this. It takes some discipline to make it happen. It becomes second nature after you've done this for a while. Please understand this. It is fundamental to the entire financial program to pay attention where the money's going. Example, just now, Karen called me up, said she's going to be late, so I drove my other car, drove it in, and needed gas. And right up the road here, gas is $3.26 a gallon. I was like in hog heaven, can you imagine? Right up here on Lomas. I got there, I pumped the gas in, or excuse me, I went in, I handed the nice lady behind the thing some money. She turned on the machine, I went back out there, gassed it up. Got done, went back in to get my change. She gave me the change, gave me the receipt. I never go anywhere now without asking for the receipt. Thank you. It's a habit. It's the way I live now. We've been doing it for 8 years. I don't even think about it. Get in that habit. Now, when we get home, Karen and I will write this down in our book, as you'll see over the next couple weeks, on how this all comes together, all right? Make this a habit. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm really a green person, and I use my debit card for everything, and
Okay.
I never get a receipt because I have my bank statement. Is that okay?
I would rather you didn't do that because you don't check your bank. It's harder to check your bank statement every day than to take this out of your purse and just write it down.
Okay, well, it's not really a bank statement.
Oh, it's not a bank statement? Okay.
It's kind of like a check that's registered, and I.
Oh, yeah, I'm good with that.
That's a bank.
Absolutely, yeah. Whatever you want to use to make that happen. I just didn't want you to have to go to the computer and bring up the website for your bank and have to go through all that. I don't care how you keep track of it. But remember, you want to keep receipts for things that have warranty items or things that you may want to return. Those things you want to keep. And that's why I had you get these dividers that had the tabs in them. That's part of the reason. You see, if we buy something for whatever, let's say a car, you see these receipts in it over here. I put the receipts in for warranty items like the battery on my car. So I have it on hand. This is much more than just a book to carry in what you're spending. This is your financial life with everything in it. That'll become very clear in the next couple weeks. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So she's the good one.
Okay,
But
I
I'm
was gonna ask, I was just waiting for him to finish talking. So why won't you just use your, like, my phone, my Wells Fargo, has where you can look at your receipts and you don't have to get them paper?
They don't always do that. Not everyone will give you a receipt like 7-Eleven. You're not going to.
Like it tells you, like, you spent this at the store, and then it has like a copy of the receipt on my actual Wells Fargo.
Okay, so anytime that you use what? Credit card or a debit card? Okay, a debit card.
Credit, I guess. I don't have a credit card, it's a debit.
So a debit card. So are you paying attention to how much you can spend in a given category before you do that?
Typically, because I have very limited funds, so I look at it before I go make the purchase, and then I.
Why don't you and I talk offline, because I'm not sure I'm clearly
Okay.
seeing where you're at, but I'd like to do that afterwards. Let me take this next question. I'll be right back.
So just to add to what she said, so she tells me, why do we have to do it in a register when there's probably an app? Because there's a lot of young kids in this room, right? There's an app, you can just enter it in the register electronically. Is
You
that
bet.
okay?
You will find, my dear, that as you continue on with this, the technology will eliminate some of the steps in being financially sound. Doing it on this forces you to look at things on a daily basis. You'll find it's much easier to do that. Much easier. Yes, ma'am.
So to add to that conversation, I started out writing everything down on the day at the time, and then somewhere midweek, I quit. And so today, before class, I was like, well, let me go back to my bank statement online and just check it out. And I was like horrified that I had spent so much in different places. And I know it's because I wasn't consciously writing it down, and I was just doing what I always do. And then looking online and seeing this, you know, computer image that's not I'm not tangibly writing it down. I'm not taking the step. It's just what's happening to me.
Maria, thank you so much. Yeah,
What's happening today.
that's exactly right. You see, a lot of times if you're depending on, I will go back and do that, or it's okay, I don't need to write down because I've got this ledger in the bank. You're missing the step that keeps you accountable. And you want to be able to do that because it will stop you from spending unnecessarily or unwantingly, I should say, in doing that. So please understand there's a purpose to every single step. There is. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Mary Jo.
I was just gonna say, for me, writing it down just solidifies it and goes, and I go, oh.
Very
I
good.
have that little book and I'm going, I've been to the gas station, got soda and this a few times this week, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. So
Mary,
it solidifies it more for me.
it really does. Mary Jo said that this solidifies what she's trying to accomplish, and it does. By taking that extra step and writing it down and paying attention, you'll find that you will spend less absolutely than you would in just swiping a debit card and then waiting to check your ledger later. It'll kill you. Yes, sir.
Well, I think you talked about this, but shouldn't we really just get an envelope with cash, you know, and stop? I mean, I understand, I like to use a credit card to buy gas.
Right.
But part of me feels like I should just have it there to buy gas with, and then I should have an envelope of cash that I'm willing to spend that week, and then when the envelope is empty.
Then you're done.
You're done.
You know, and absolutely there are some, we use the envelope system for quite a bit of stuff where it is cash. And we're going to talk about that next week or the week after. It is an absolutely 100% way to be able to make it work. The question has to be, what do you weigh? What works well for you? For some people, you can accumulate a lot of money inside an envelope, and you may not be comfortable with that in some ways. We're going to talk about that in detail. But certainly, that system works 100% of the time. And we're going to talk about that in class later. All right, yes?
I wanted to ask, I went to Target and had all kinds of things on the receipt. Are you going to talk about, you know, so if I bought food and pet stuff and wanted to know what I bought, or a shirt, you know, I didn't buy a shirt because I didn't know if I should buy clothes after the joke you told last week. They always have clothes on them.
So the question is, if I understand correctly, because you had a multitude of different things, do you separate them out into categories? Yeah, you do not have to do that. And let's talk about that briefly. If you go into Walmart and you go in to buy milk, bread, and eggs to do that, or just let's just say you're going to go in and buy your groceries for the week. You go in, you buy that. On the way out, you pick up a blouse or a pair of shoes or something on the way out. You don't have to separate that out. Put it all under food. That's where the majority was spent. If you're going in and you buy clothing, and you say, I'm gonna pick up a dress, 2 pairs of jeans, shoes, and you buy clothes, and then on the way out you pick up some dozen eggs, you don't have to put the eggs in the food, just put it all in clothing. Otherwise it'll make you crazy. Now, are there any engineers in the room? Okay, for engineers I have to do a caveat because they can't stand it. They've got to break it down, and that's okay if you want to do that, but you certainly don't have to do that, all right? Try to keep this logical. Now, if you go in and you spend half the money on food, half of it on clothes, certainly separate it out a little bit. Okay, great question. All right. Complete the financial snapshot. Take it out. Take your financial snapshot out. By the way, you'll notice that I have given you another copy of the financial snapshot that has not been filled out. I'll explain what that's for in just a few moments. All right, now your financial snapshot should be complete on both sides. You should be showing the income, take taxes out and give me net spendable income. And then on the other side, you should be able to show me where the expenses are going. And it may not be 100% right. In fact, it won't be, but it'll get you in the ballpark. All right, let's talk about the worksheet. In your binder, it's in 23 and 24 in your workbook. All right, let's talk about it a little bit. We talked about the income. First of all, I wanted to know every single place that money is coming into your household. Every single spot. unless it's not guaranteed. If you're doing something that maybe you worked a little bit of overtime, don't put that on there. Unless it's a guaranteed income, that's what you build the budget with. Then you take your taxes out, and it'll give you your total net spendable income. Does anybody have any questions on this particular side of the form? Yes, go ahead, Fawn.
What if you don't have a guaranteed income, like at all?
At this stage, where we're,
All the time?
you bet, we're using examples in your case, because you're not working full-time, correct? So in your case, this is more educational than tactical until we start getting some more income coming in. All right?
So how would you apply that?
What you do is you look at an average, you say, all right, on average a month, if I'm not working consistently, for example, we have some people that come in that are doing childcare as an example, something along that line, and it varies a lot. Look at what you have for a month, and then on average, take the last, I'd say 6 months, and then start building it from there. And you've got your guard income as well that you have to take into account. It'll get more stable as time goes on. All right, any other questions on the first side? All right, let's start going through this. Giving, questions on that. Giving. Churches, charities,
Radio.
radio, anything. Questions on what is applicable in the housing category. Any questions on that? Oops, sorry, I missed food. Food category, any questions there? Yes.
I am not an engineer.
Okay, that's all right. But
I was going through my receipt piece by piece and breaking it up and came upon the question, what do you do with things like pine sol and
Yeah.
paper towels?
Good
And
question. Things that you normally buy that are used for the maintenance of your home, cleaning materials, paper towels, that kind of stuff. If it is your norm to buy that with your food, leave it in the food category. Okay? Some people like to buy things, they'll buy their food and then they have other things that they like to purchase separately. Then you just list them separately under other, under this category.
And the
All right.
same thing can go with pets. You know, if your average is you just buy simple dog food or cat food and you just buy it when you go grocery shopping, then you can include it in food.
Yeah.
But if you are one of those who have to get the special diet, special high-end food for your cat or dog or parakeet or whatever, then you might want to separate that out and put it just in pets. So you have to kind of weigh what works best for you.
Just be consistent. Once you make a decision on how you're going to do it the same way every time. Same way every time. Automotive category. All this different information right here. Questions about anything in that category. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in these last 2 months, I didn't have any car or repairs or maintenance to put anything in there, but I know I'm gonna have to put something.
Correct. So what you have to look at, remember last week we talked about some categories we're going to have to take a guess at. Automotive repairs is one of those because you, in the last 2 months, you may not have done any repairs. But you know you're going to have to change the oil and maintain it and do other stuff. So give me a guess. Say that you're going to spend it four times a year, you're going to spend $40 to change the oil on your car. Maybe you're going to have to do some other type of maintenance, you know, on. In that case, take an educated guess. As the program develops, as you continue to do this, this number will become much closer to reality.
Okay, so what is, in general, what is, I have one vehicle, what's it?
One vehicle, I would say, let's start off with $600 a year, $50 a month. And that might be high, but I don't know the condition of your car, but that's what I see as a norm. If you have a brand new car, there'll be less, of course. All right, other questions about the automotive category? Whoops. All right, insurance. This is for life insurance and anything that might be through your employer or other sources. Questions about that? Okay. Debt, credit cards, student loans, etc., etc. Questions about what would fall into this category, any gray areas that you might have. Man, you guys are easy tonight. Good, I like that. Entertainment, did this get anybody in trouble? Yeah, maybe a couple of you, huh? Yeah, it's one of those sinking holes that you get stuck in. Is there any question about what would fall into this category?
No, it just has
Pardon?
Anytime.
Anytime you eat out, that's part of it, you betcha. Or hobbies, planning for vacation, anything along those lines, that would be entertainment. Yes, ma'am.
So in my calendar planning for vacation, so where I work, we can buy a week vacation in case we.
I'm
want-
so sorry, I couldn't hear you.
We can buy a week vacation where I work to have an extra week. So
Mhm.
is that vacation planning? I mean, if I don't use the money, I get it.
You
back.
get it back. Yeah, I would do that. That's pre-tax as well, right? Or is it as a post-tax?
I think it's pre-tax.
Pre-tax, okay. So you want to make sure that you account for that in your overall income as well. But the answer is yes, I would put that under vacation if that's what you're purchasing from the company to buy more time, right?
Right.
So I would include that in that category, yes. Yes, sir.
I choose to call on that, right?
iTunes, yes.
Say that again.
iTunes.
Oh, iTunes, absolutely. I'll tell you what, I've seen some folks that spend a lot of money on that. I didn't realize you could spend that much. Are you one of those, Ryan? Do you spend a little bit on? That might be one of those categories that, yeah, iTunes certainly would be entertainment.
We had well, we could use our son for an example. He downloads everything. He downloads books, music, movies. He downloads everything. And when he totaled us up, he was amazed that in those little 99 cents, $4.99, $10.90, that he hit $600 in 1 month. Because he didn't even think about it. He just wanted the next one in the book. He wanted the next movie when it came out, pre-ordered movies so that he'd have them on his iPad when he got them. And so that took it. Those are sneaky little ones that add up. That doesn't sound like much, 99 cents, $2.99. But when you do 40 of them in 1 week, it adds up very quickly.
It'll kill you. It'll kill you. All right, good questions. Okay, then we've got the clothing category and emergency savings. Questions about either of those? Medical expenses, anything here? Yes, ma'am.
So could you put your gym membership here?
In medical?
Membership dues, you have membership dues for medical?
For the gym
Oh, for the gym, that would be an entertainment.
or miscellaneous.
You can put it miscellaneous if you like as well. You're not going to a hospital to exercise, right?
No.
Okay, so entertainment would fall into that category.
I'm trying to look at it more as for my health. It is.
If you want to do that, you can certainly do that. It's uncommon to put it under medical, but I'll leave that up to you.
It's not very entertaining.
No.
No.
May I ask a follow-on question? Are you a member of Planet Fitness or another place? The Y. Good. They have good rates there as well. The reason that I ask is sometimes people look at the rates that they have for different gyms in the community here. That can cost you a lot of money too, just in order to go to a gym that you're paying $40 or $50 a month on.
You have one more question, babe.
Yes.
How about like, once in a while I go get a massage?
A massage, I would put that under entertainment, probably for me, but are you comfortable in that? Put it in that category? Some people get massages for health reasons, which would be medical, where it's covered by insurance. So,
I put together, instead of medical expenses, I just put health and prevention, and then I just put them all there, like acupuncture, massage, and stuff like that. That way it felt.
it's comfortable for you. So
Right.
what Maria said is that she just kind of relabeled this and made it for health and wellness. And then she put everything under that category. I'm good with that. Whatever works for you is fine. Don't overthink it. Just be consistent on what you're doing. Be consistent. Miscellaneous, can this get you in trouble? Yep. So you got to think about each of those. Questions about those areas. Investments, if you're doing any types of investments, just write that down on how much you're doing on a monthly basis. School or child care, any questions about that category? By the way, if you're going to college, use this for yourself. Use this for yourself. What are you doing in there? Books, maybe fees associated with college. Put that information in there. Okay, then we got the net spendable income. You know what the outflow is, and you know how much money, whether you have a positive or a negative number. That's where we're at. That is the starting point. This next week, if you have not gone through this exercise in detail, you need to do it. Relook it over again this week, okay? All right. So let's move on to the next step in this process. And the next step in this is to perform a budget analysis. I want you to turn to page 26 in your workbook. Please understand, this is where you start taking control of your money. This is where you start making conscious decisions on what you will do or will not do with your budget. Let's start here. Remember, as you analyze your budget, remember to look at your goals and take them into consideration as you make changes. Week number 1, goals. We talked about it. Please understand this. The importance of a budget and goals is so that you tell your money where to go to accomplish the goals and the things that are important in this life to you. So think about your goals. If you want to retire early, let's say 55, can we agree that you may have to say no to some things now and put that money into retirement so you can do that? You see, you're making decisions based on the goals you have, always into consideration. That's why I covered those week 1. The budget analysis worksheet that you're seeing right now and the financial snapshot work hand in hand. Now, I've given you a blank copy of the financial snapshot. I want you to take that out, set it next to the page. What is it, 26, Frank? Page 26? The budget analysis worksheet?
Yeah.
Okay, page 26. Just put them side by side. I want you to understand that these two forms work together. Work together. Let's take a look at that. Here's what you've got. Here's what your budget analysis worksheet looks like. This is the Reader's Digest version. I've just condensed it a little bit, all right? So I want you to look at something. Let's say that right here you come down to the housing category, all right? Initially, what people think of is when I say housing, they think of their rent or their mortgage. But it's more than that, right? It's all of these items here that fall under housing. So what we're going to do, So what we're going to do is when you get to a given category, you have to look at your financial snapshot and look at all of these items that fall under that category and decide what needs to change. What needs to change. So let's take a look at it. If you have a negative number at the end of your financial snapshot, as an example, if you had a negative number, you're using the budget analysis form to find the shortfall. In other words, you only have so much net spendable income, right? You get down to the bottom and you're $40 short. You just don't have, you're overspending by $40. You have to go back to the budget analysis and say, okay, what category can I reduce spending in by $5 here, $10 here, whatever, to find $40? So if you have a negative number, you're going back into the snapshot, back into the budget analysis and find that money. Questions? Okay? If you have a positive number at the end of your financial snapshot, you don't go, woohoo, let's just have a good time with that. You take that money and you say, where is the best place to put it back into the budget? So if you have $40 extra, then you might go back and say, you know, we might have to put tires on the car. Let's put that in this section. But you have to account for every single dollar in there. And that's what this budget analysis worksheet helps you be able to do. Let's take a look. You must have a balanced budget when you're done with the budget analysis worksheet. Let me define that term for you. A balanced budget means that every dollar that is net spendable income is accounted for in the budget. You have a zero balance at the bottom of the financial snapshot worksheet. Zero balance. Every dollar has a job is another way to look at it. All right, so let's look at the budget analysis worksheet. You've got on the left-hand side, you've got all the categories that we talked about. Giving, housing, food, etc., all the way down. Now, when you take your snapshot, you're going to put it right next to this budget analysis, and you're going to go down through here, and you're going to enter your current spending off of the financial snapshot worksheet. Is everybody with me? Okay, it's just a transfer of the numbers. Here's a couple examples. Let's say that in the housing category, you're spending $1,450 a month for everything in the housing category, right? And on automotive, you're spending $675 and you have no money going into emergency savings. These are just examples. Now, you ask yourself, what needs to change? please hear this. The question, what needs to change, is fundamental to success of your budget. You have to be able to ask yourself that question. What needs to change so I can balance my budget? What needs to change so I can achieve my goals? What needs to change so I can start saving money? That question is critical to financial analysis of where you are. So here we write this down, and let's say, all right, what needs to change? And you say, all right, look, I can cut cable and I can save $70. That's great. You might be able to do that. What else in the housing category? Look at everything that's in there. What things on the snapshot in the housing category might you be able to adjust?
Might be able to refinance.
Might be able to refinance the house and save money on a monthly basis, right? What else?
Get rid of the Netflix.
Get rid of a Netflix program if that's costing you money to do that.
If you have cable, we
You
went
see,
the other
you
way.
got to think about it. We're never going to get rid of our Netflix, but
No, we love
I
it.
understand the thought. But you got to understand, my friends, that you're analyzing right now this line. You're saying to yourself, look, I think I can spend less in that category. That's what needs to change, is I need to cut cable or whatever you decide, refinancing or whatever. Now, we come down here to automotive, and that's $675. Is that just insurance? No. Is it just car payment? It's a lot of things, right? But let's say that you look at that category and you say, man, that is a lot of money I'm spending. You look at everything that's in there and you say, you know what? I have been with this company for 20 years. I am going to challenge with other insurance companies and see if I can save money. Believe me, most of you can. We did, certainly. I'm very involved in that. Yes, sir.
I have a gadget on my car right now that monitors my driving habits.
I got one in my car. You must be with Progressive.
With
Liberty Mutual, they do the same thing. Yep.
And right now, so you get a 5% discount just for putting it on your car for 90 days. And then depending on how much you drive, and it doesn't actually monitor your speed. So if
No.
you're speeding, it doesn't register it. But if you're doing extreme braking or extreme acceleration, it monitors it as an event. So you can get as much as 35% discount
That's right.
on your insurance. I'd say if you park your car and walk, you can get 35%. However, if you're driving in Albuquerque, you could get as much as 25 or 30% off your
Right.
insurance if you do it for 90 days.
I did the exact same thing with Progressive on my truck and also on the car that I have out here, my Yukon. 35% discount I received for doing that. That is challenging. That's being smart about your money, calling and asking questions. Call one company, call another company, find out what's going on. My friends, if you don't challenge it, you're going to get what you get. So be proactive in trying to save money. That's an example. And now if I save $70 here and I save $75 there, now I can increase this category so I have some savings in my account. What is our first goal in savings? $1,000. Good deal. So you remember. So you see what this means, folks. You put the snapshot numbers right here. You ask yourself what needs to change, and that becomes your new budget that you start working with as we go forward. Every single thing that you have on there should be analyzed with the question, what needs to change? Talk about it. Maybe it needs to increase. Maybe it needs to decrease. But you are now taking control of the money.
When
Yes,
we-
sir.
oh, good.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, like with auto, I need to start writing down how much gas I use.
Yes, you do.
Not the gallons, but how much money I spend on gas, 'cause I have no idea.
And you're going to learn how to do that. That's why you're writing down. What Frank said is he needs to understand how much he's using, how much is he spending on gas. Critically important, critically. Every category, you need to know what you're spending. You need to know. Yes, ma'am.
On that, I'm getting, all of a sudden, I'm getting poor gas mileage on my Jeep.
Okay.
It's like dropped in half, I'm going, what the heck? So I went to a shop, and I asked the guy, and he says, try different gas stations.
Yeah.
Because the different formulas, you get better mileage or you get worse mileage. And I'm like,
There are
I
some,
would just go where the price was low.
yeah, you gotta be thinking about these things. Yeah.
So he suggested a few, and I'm like, I'm gonna try it, you know, maybe a half a tank of this, half a tank of that, and half of that, and see which one works best.
And I've also had someone tell me that when they fill up their car, that they were told, this person works at Cyndia Laboratories, they did some testing on some things, If they fill it up slowly, don't try to do it real fast, it gets less air in there and you get better gas mileage in doing that. I don't understand how that works. I'm not an engineer, but I thought that was cool. Chris?
Now, if you go on the internet and search, there's some really simple things that most people don't check their tire pressure often enough, and particularly fluctuations in the summer can drastically affect your mileage. With low tire pressure, if you have a dirty air filter, that will drastically affect your mileage. So,
And I need new tires, so I think that has something to do with it too.
perhaps.
Got to get educated. Folks, educate yourself. Pay attention to details because it'll help. Honey, did you have something you wanted to add?
I was just going to say, when we first started this and we realized that we were spending so much money on eating out, what needs to change that really got us into the mode is that we decided we would only go out to eat on payday nights, period. We would not stop anywhere, and that was really drastic, and we went through withdrawal for about the first 3 weeks. But after that, it was no big deal. So we needed to do something real. I mean, $700 in 2 months was way too much, and then we cut that way back, and that was excessive, but we had to break the cycle. So sometimes you have to do something really drastic to first break it, and then you can ease it back up to a more comfortable letter if that applies to you.
It's worth it all, my friends. It's worth it all. Yes, ma'am.
A wonderful transportation story. I don't know if it happened out of this class last week or if I would have thought of it. I work in Muslim schools, and this year I'm assigned to Valencia High School, which is up by Meadowland. It's 86 miles round trip from where I live.
Wow.
86 miles a day, and I'm so sad. And my truck has 150,000 miles on it, and so I went to somebody I knew that I worked with before years ago, and I said, you know, you're still driving every day, but I maybe drive to your house, pay you this much in gas. And he said, my car's getting old. I started taking the train, and I leave an old car down at the Los Lunas station.
Yep.
So I'm going to drive to Rio Bravo, which is 12 miles from my house, catch the train. He says I kind of sleep on the train in the morning, so it's 5:30. So I'm going to have to get up at 4 to walk my dogs and take care of me. So I'm going to have to go to bed right after this class. But gee whiz, I won't have to fix my truck this year, and it's a lot of gas money.
It is a lot of gas money.
And it might be fun. I don't know.
I think it'd be
It's
fun.
a good story. Thank you for sharing that. You got to think outside of the box, folks. Take control. Understand every detail of what's happening. It will pay off in your bank account, I guarantee it. All right, let me move forward. Questions about this? You see how to analyze the budget, what you have to think about. All right, what needs to change? Here's the question you ask yourself. What categories can I reduce? It's in your binder, by the way. Look on page 27. I give you everything. It's all in the book. All right, page 27. What categories can be reduced? Should any be increased? This might fall into the category of savings or investing. What other categories? Should I challenge any categories? The answer is yes. You should be challenging everything. Look at it. Is this really what I need to be spending, or can I do something to reduce, like Chris said, possibly with the insurance on the car? Am I putting money in emergency savings? If not, it's important. Am I considering my goals? Yeah. If you're looking at what needs to change, I need to know where you're going. What do you need to accomplish? What do you want out of this life? Tell your money to go there. Decisions you make today will absolutely, positively impact future financial success. Make no mistake, this is important. Then you balance your budget. Every dollar must be accounted for within the categories. When you are done with that budget analysis, you should know exactly what your net spendable income is, and it should be exactly the same at the end of the budget analysis. Net spendable income is all you have available to spend or save. The new monthly figures from the budget analysis worksheet are the starting point of your family's budget. That's where we start. I'm going to put you to work here for just a little bit. I want to help the family called the Smith family. And let me tell you a little bit about the Smith family. First of all, let me do this first. I'm going to make you, if I had a magic wand, I'd wave it here. You are all now financial counselors, just like I am. You just got a PhD in counseling, I guess. All right. This family is coming to you for advice. They want to know if you can help them with their finances. I'm going to show you a short video. Please understand that the it is not the best quality video. We're working on that, so you have to listen closely. It only lasts about 2 minutes, that's it. So pay attention to what they're saying, and then I'll put you to work on helping this family out. So let's watch this video.
We're here because of our overspending, and we want to do something about it. It seems to be an ongoing problem. Money for us seems to just disappear. And now I know we shouldn't have bought the car, and she told me that. But the fact is, we have no savings. We always use our credit cards when we have any unexpected expenses. In fact, we have to use our tax refund every year to help us make it through.
And we know that debt is really starting to pile up. It's just becoming overwhelming. And I kind of wanted to start giving more to the church.
And I understand that, I really do. But I think we should pay our debt off first. And I know God will understand. Do you know how expensive it is in this day and age to raise a family of 4? I mean, I'm at the point where I'm considering getting a second job.
And I don't know how that's going to work because I'm with the kids Monday through Friday, and I really need a break on the weekends.
So that's why we're here. Can you help us?
Can you help us? All right. That is their story. Now, a couple of you are coming through this course again. No cheating, because you already know some of these answers. Let's talk a little bit about the Smith family. All right. Now, Mr. Smith earns $45,000 annually. Now, you have in there, you have a Smith family budget analysis form. Does everybody find it? Okay, that is their budget analysis worksheet.
It's in your workbook.
It's in your workbook. Does everybody have it? It's on, did I give them a page number?
28.
28, thank you. Oh, we don't want to watch that again. Okay, it's on 28. Mr. Smith earns $45,000 a year. His net spendable income after taxes is $2,850. Mrs. Smith is a stay-at-home mom. They have 2 children under the age of 4, so we got to pray for them a lot. They're busy. They have 2 cars. One is paid for and one is recently purchased. Based on their existing budget, they are overspending by $501 a month. Is that possible to do? Absolutely. It's called debt. That's how we overspend. What changes do you recommend in their budget based on their story? What are the things that you recommend that they find $501 in their budget? Yes, ma'am.
I would examine why they're paying so much in taxes. If they're getting such a big refund, they're probably having too much taken out.
Great point. Hold that thought because I'm going to break you. You guys are going to work on your tables together and you're going to solve their problem. We're going to take a few minutes to do that, so I'm going to hold questions. Yes, Chris?
I guess with 2 kids under the age of 4, I would look at their food budget.
Oh, we're going to hold off. We're going to break into groups first. Yep, and then as a group, you're going to come up with answers. So, Ryan and Deborah, could I ask you too, if you would mind coming up here and joining this smaller group here. The rest of you have enough at the tables, I think, to be able to work. What I want you to do is this. Here's your job. You take that budget analysis worksheet, you take into account their situation, and you fill this thing out on what changes you feel would be appropriate for this family to make to find $501. Take out your smartphones. You probably got a calculator on them. And then any questions before we start? Don't get too detailed. Think in general terms, all right? Any questions? Do I need to split them up differently or are we okay,
I
baby?
think they're good.
Okay, go to work. All right, let's have everybody back in their chairs. We're going to kick this off and get shaking. All right, so here's what we're going to do. This is the way we're going to take care of fixing the Smiths' problem, the situation that they're in. I'm going to go around to each table and I'll ask one of you to share just one thing that you recommend that the Smith family do. Just one. All right, so Dorothy, share with me one that your table came up with.
$150 off of entertainment.
Okay, Dorothy said $150 off of entertainment. All right, so how much are they spending now?
$250.
$250. So what does that leave them in the budget?
$50.
Okay, all right, $100 is what they're able to spend now, all right? So cutting some in entertainment, all right, good. One thing that this table came up with, what do you got?
Auto.
Go ahead, Mary Jo.
Auto.
Auto, and what are we gonna do in the auto section?
She's a stay-at-home mom.
Okay,
Get rid of the brand new cars. The other one's paid off.
okay,
Bring down the insurance.
okay,
So she drives her husband to work 2 days a week. He takes it the other 3, so she can do her errands and stuff during the day.
okay,
And yet he's got freedom on those other 3 days to go out with buddies for lunch or takes clients out to lunch or whatever.
all right, did everybody hear that? What Mary Jo said was, they've got 2 cars, she's a stay-at-home mom, they can sell 1 car, the most expensive one, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
okay, and then he can take it a couple times a week and she can use it sometimes to do errands and run that. Ooh, boy, I don't know, 'cause is that a good idea to sell the car? What do you think? No, yes?
Was it a brand new vehicle?
Brand new car. Remember he said that in that? So let's talk about this a minute. All right, here's what I want you to think. Pardon?
Selling the paid off car to pay down the used
Okay, that's one thought of it, is to sell the used car and pay down the new car, but would they still have payments? Probably would for an extended period. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, sell the new car, buy a
How old the other
older.
Maybe to have 2 cars, but have one that's used. To do that, Chris?
Well, it depends on whether the car is a liability in terms of the one that's paid off. Is it a mechanical liability? If it is,
We don't have enough information, but in general, what would you think?
if it's a liability, then donate it to KNME, and then they share on the one that they're making payments on.
Okay, let me tell you the answer to this one, although there's a lot of good ones out here. Short-term loss for a long-term gain. Short-term loss for a long-term gain. What happens, are they going to get back the money that they paid for that car by selling it? No. They are not. What happens to the car the minute you drive it off the lot? It depreciates, you lose value. However, a new car, like Mary Jo said, has more cost to it because if you have a loan on that, you are going to have full coverage insurance on that vehicle, right? To be able to do that. So, short-term loss, long-term gain. Karen, honey, give me an example of what we did on the camper.
We had a lovely fifth wheel, 33 feet, 3 slide outs, Arctic pack. We were going to retire in this thing. Paid $40,000 for it. And at the time, fine, fit, we were good. We had 2 great incomes. It was going to work until we didn't have 2 great incomes anymore. So now we needed to get rid of this. We paid 40, we owed 38. So we put it on Rocky Mountain RV. They'll do the consignment sales for you. So we put it on there. We got an offer a few months later for $32,000. So here was the problem though. With our fifth wheel, we had the payment, we had the insurance, because when you have something that big, you have to have insurance on it. We had the storage. We had to buy a new truck at the time so it could pull that, because our full-size van wasn't going to pull it. So we had a whole lot of expenses that went with that thing. So they offered us the $32,000. So we looked at that and said, okay, for one thing, fifth wheels don't sell very quickly. So if you get a good offer, you better grab it, because you may be months before you get another one. So we decided to take it, but we needed to clear the title. So we still had to come up with $6,000 to clear the title. So we went to the credit union and we took a $6,000 signature loan out so that we could pay off the whole thing and they could have a clear title. The signature loan, now you have to remember my fifth wheel payment was $450 a month, plus $100 a month for storage, plus averaged about $75 a month for insurance. By the time we were all said and done, we were over $600 into just this one thing. The signature loan now was $75 for 4 years. So we decided to go ahead and do that. We then worked really hard and paid off that loan in a year because it was so low we could pay it off easier. So we took the extra little burden of a $6,000 signature loan, but we erased $600 that was coming out of our budget.
Short-term loss, long-term gain. So does that mean that we are never able to buy another camper as long as we live? No. It just means for this time in our lives, it was better for us to sell that to free up the budget to do other things. In this case, with the information we have, we don't have all the information for sure. In this case, based on the information we have, it's probably in their best interest to let that car go, take care of the shortfall, wherever that might be, drive the other car till the wheels fall off. That's the plan, make that happen. I always love the discussion on that. Folks, would you share one with me over here? Zach, give me one that your table came up with.
They were gonna change the exemptions on the taxes.
Okay, change the exemption on taxes. So Mr. Smith in the video, he said, you know, we count on our tax return every year to get us through. Well, they're paying quite a bit in taxes. You notice $900 is what they're paying out. Can you adjust that, or is that just too bad? You live with what you got. How can I change it? Go to the HR department and find out what you're doing. And there's also, on the IRS website, there's also a calculator on there that you can adjust your withholding and figure out where you are. So absolutely, in this case, they can bring more money back into their pockets by adjusting their withholding. Here's our rule of thumb for taxes. If you are getting back more than $200 on your tax return, you're getting back too much. Put that money in your pocket and put it to work for you. How much interest do they give you on that money you're letting Uncle Sam have for that year?
None.
None. Zero. You're giving them free use of your money. You don't need to do that. Use that money for yourself. Get it back in the budget. Get it back in the budget. You want to get as close to zero as you can. Work with your accountant. Go to the website. Figure out what you can withhold. Very good. Okay, one thing out of this group right here. Ryan, go ahead.
Cut out food spending.
Okay, cut out some food spending. From what to what? How much did you cut?
We cut about $100.
Okay, $100 out of food. Okay, so they're at $451. We went down to $351. What are some ways that you can do to save money in food? Any ideas?
Coupons.
Coupons? Cut coupons, right? Very important. Let me ask you this question. What?
Food pantries.
Food pantries. You could do that as well. Here's something you may not have thought about. How much of what you actually buy is food and how much is treats? Potato chips, Cheetos, soda pop, Twinkies, all that stuff. Oh yeah, we don't have Twinkies anymore because they went out of business because I went on a diet, right? I want you to think about that and be realistic about what you're spending food money on. That doesn't mean you don't get any treats, but you got to think about it. Yes, go ahead, Ann.
I didn't think they spent enough on food.
Okay, based on family of 4
Yeah.
with 2 children.
Those kids are really skinny.
They may not be eating much. Maybe they're adjusting. For example, maybe in this case, we can do that. I don't know. It's the equations we don't have enough data on to look at, but maybe that's not enough. I don't know. Yes, sir, Chris.
Well, I was just saying during World War II, families had victory gardens, so they supplemented their food with things that they had planted.
Yep, supplement the food by planting and doing that.
An internet network for our neighborhood, and somebody puts on, I had too many apricots on my tree, so we went and we collected apricots and froze them, put them in the freezer, and Wendy purees them, mixes them with juice, and makes these high, vitamin C popsicles for her son.
And
There
he
you
thinks
go.
they're better than, he won't even eat the store-bought. He wants the weird orangey brown popsicles I make.
So you can think about doing stuff like that. Work with other people. Find out what's available. Let me give you one more tip in the food category. Think about menus. Sit down on Sunday and say, look, this is what we're going to have this week. We're going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner. You buy what you need for that. That is what you eat. You will find that you don't end up with spending extra money or throwing away food because you have too much on hand. So be thinking about that. That is a great way to save money in that category. Okay, Kaz, how about telling me a little bit about yours? What is one thing you came up with?
We cut $75 off of clothing.
Okay?
She had 2 young kids, so I don't think she needs to spend that vast amount of money on clothing.
We can save some money on that, right? So the clothing category, we're doing $150 a month. Maybe we can cut down. What are some ways of saving money in the clothing category? Give me some examples. Go ahead.
She's got young kids, and they grow out of clothes fast.
Right.
Find friends that have the same size kids or variable and trade off clothes.
So she said these children are going to grow fast, so they're going to be having to go through clothes. Find other people that you can trade with. Now, in this example, these children are not going to be growing as fast because Ryan cut their food out. So they're not going to be growing as quick. No, I'm just joking. So, but that's true. We can do some things that way. Yes, ma'am.
Go to the thrift shop and take the clothes in for the trade-in, and then you'll have money for the thrift shop to do your clothes, and then you'll have extra as well.
Absolutely. Why not use thrift stores, garage sales, things along that line? You can save a lot of money by doing that. Why not? Why not, right? So we're going to cut some money from there in order to use that. Now, go ahead.
Sorry. Another way to get new clothes that I've done a couple times with my girlfriends is to have a clothing exchange party. All your girlfriends come over. Sorry guys, dudes don't do this. But have all your girlfriends come over. It's a potluck. Everybody brings bags of clothes that don't fit them anymore. They just don't like them anymore. And you grab what you want, and whatever's left over you donate. But like
right.
you get the excitement of having a whole new outfit or a new purse or new shoes without actually spending any money.
Absolutely. You see, folks, I want you to think out of the box. I want you to think outside of what you're normally doing and think of ways that you can be creative to manage money better. Now, a couple things we didn't talk about right here that I want to bring up. One of them was giving. Mrs. Smith said she wanted to give more to the church. And Mr. Smith said, well, I want to get out of debt first. I know that God will understand. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that?
I think that they could give their time. You know, they could
Okay.
go and do Habitat for Humanity.
Great point. Great point. Time, talents, treasure. Not everything that you give has to be money, right? To do that. Now, we are, as financial counselors, which I made you all, when somebody feels strongly about something like the giving to their church or giving to another cause, not our job to make decisions for them, but simply to provide other avenues on what they might be able to do, okay? Now, we spent about 20 minutes or so talking about these changes. Now, was it hard to make these changes to find that money? A little bit tough, but you all managed to do that. And I got to tell you, you guys were a little bit tough sometimes. Let's feed the kids less. Let's get rid of this car. Let's not give the kids any clothes. But let me ask you this. Why was it easy to do this for this family? Not your money, guys. Not your money. Isn't it easy to make these changes for somebody else? You had no problem saying, let's do this and that. And by the way, when you freed up this money, you help them be able to increase their savings and do those other things, right? All right, now everybody, let me have your attention. This is real important. Here's the purpose of this exercise. You just did a budget analysis and answered the question, what needs to change for the Smith family? And you cut them pretty good. Here's my question. Can you do this for yourselves when you get home? You see, if you can, you're going to be able to make great strides very rapidly in your financial plan. The question is, can you do it to yourself? Was it worthwhile? Yes. Makes a difference, doesn't it? You folks are welcome to go back to your chairs, or you can stay right there. Whichever you prefer, it's okay to be comfortable. All right. Here's something you didn't come up with. I'm afraid I may have to let some of you go. Okay? There's no getting rid of the kids or doing anything along that line. All right. Now, we're going to move on to the next step in this process. But before I do that, are there any questions at all about the budget analysis? Does it make sense on how to analyze the information from the snapshot to the budget analysis worksheet? Are we good? Okay, good. All right. Yes, Zach?
When you're doing this, is there like a time frame you need to pay attention to when you're making changes?
No, there's not a time frame. If you say, look, I want to be able to make a change in automobile, and it takes you a while to research everything and cut down where you can, this is always ongoing. Always ongoing. You're always analyzing. This is just your first step, is analyzing where you are today. Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question. So in going through, I've gotten behind on some of my bills.
Okay.
So I need to keep paying the monthly forward. Do I include what I still owe back in debt?
Yes, the money that you are in arrears in. What Elizabeth said is she has some debts that she's a little bit behind in, and should she continue to catch those up, the answer is yes. You got to be able to do that. So try to cut in other areas temporarily to free up money to be able to catch up.
So in that one area where whatever it is, I put the amount for monthly there, and then in the debt I increase by X.
Correct. That's right. Increase that amount. Increase that amount. Other questions? Okay?
I just wanted
Yes.
to say thank you for the tip about calling the electric service. I don't know who said that, but I did that this last week and cut it like in half, which is awesome.
Good deal.
Good for you.
And also getting doing this exercise was getting out of denial. I was swimming in that river for a long time, and so I called all of my creditors and settled for like maybe 35 to 40% of the total balance.
Oh, Maria, that's
It was-
exactly right.
It was amazing. So I just thank you for doing this. work, 'cause
My
I would-
pleasure, our pleasure to be here to do that. What Maria said, I think this is so powerful. I know somebody in the back, it's hard to hear. What she said was that she had the opportunity to be able to settle some accounts with creditors for pennies on the dollar in order to do that, which is so powerful to make that happen. You see, you're taking control, maybe for the first time ever, but you've got to do that. You've got to understand that what you are receiving now isn't what you have to put up with. You can take things into your own hands and make changes. And please understand, my friends, it can be significant. It can be significant. Even something like going to balanced budgeting in the utilities. Oh my gracious, that is so freeing because now you're not stressed about what's going to happen next month. You're not following the kids around, turning everything off every single second of the day. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Other questions? All right, let's do a quick review of where we are so far. First thing that we did, we discussed 3 of 6 steps. We determined what the existing budget is. We filled out the Financial Snapshot Worksheet, and we just covered how to analyze that information from the worksheet by using the Budget Analysis Worksheet. That's where we are so far. Now, we are going to start talking, right now we're going to do what comes out when, because it's critically important that you understand how money moves in and out of your month, how that money moves. We're going to talk next week about typing out your budget, and then we're going to go through that binder in detail using the information that you've accumulated over these couple of weeks. So right now, let's talk about what comes out when. Turn to page 29 in your workbook. Now this is a high-tech piece of paper I gave you here. It is a blank calendar, and that's where you start. So I'm going to allow Karen to teach this section to you because she's really good at this. So, honey.
Okay, you have to answer for me. Okay, the first thing you want to do is just identify your paydays when they come out. And the importance of this is that now you're splitting your month up into 2 sections, and your bills will be split up into 2 sections. So you look at this and say, like, you get paid on the 13th and the 27th. So let's just start with the 27th. Everything that comes between the 27th and the 12th is coming out of that payday. And everything that's coming from the 13th through the 26th is coming out of that first payday. And it doesn't matter if it's the 1st or 15th or the 2nd and 4th or 3rd and 5th or whatever, however your paydays fall. But you want to start thinking in 2 halves and let your paychecks divide it.
What if you get paid once a month?
Once a month is a little different because you're going to just list your things out and you'll just know when they have to get paid coming out of once a month.
In fact, it's a great lead-in to my next slide because you may be a dual income family. That's okay. You know, just figure out where the money comes in. Maybe you only get paid once a week. Maybe you have variable income like commission. By the way, if you do, talk with me offline. I'll help you understand how to do that part of the budget. Now here's what I want you to do. If you have dual income or you're getting paid weekly, I want you to think in terms of first half of the month, second half of the month. First half of the month, 1st through the 15th, 16th through the 30th as an example, okay? That's what I want you to think about the money coming in. Is everybody clear on that? Yes, ma'am.
But bi-weekly is going to be different than that?
No, well, bi-weekly could,
Different every,
it's going to be just every other Friday, but you're still splitting your month
Right.
into 2 halves.
It will vary somewhat, but you're still getting paid twice a month. First half of the month, second half of the month, okay?
Okay, so now we're going to plug in the hard categories. And these are the things that are non-negotiable, you don't have to control, this is what the bill is, you have to pay it. And you have to pay it by this date. And so many of us kind of think, well, I got a 10-day grace period. You have to stop that. That just kills you. If you roll a bill that's supposed to be paid in the first month and you roll it in the second month, you have blown the second part of the month. So you have to think, okay, when is this due? Which payday does it come out of? And that's what you stick to. So say, for example, like the car payment is due on the 3rd, the water bill is due on the 5th, the mortgage is due on the 30th. However this bill falls out. So in this example, you could say, okay, at the 27th, that payday, I've got my mortgage, my car payment, my water, and my electric. And for most of us, I think the end of the month can be a really heavy, because everything likes to come out the last day or the first week. Everything seems to come out. If you find that you do not have enough money to cover that bottom half, then there's a couple things you can do. You can call like your utilities and talk to them about a day. Just tell them you're on a budget and you're finding it difficult to pay this, because they'd rather get paid on time than to be pushed back themselves. So if you can adjust to a different day, they'll work with you on that. So you can do that. You just have to make the phone call. The worst they can say is no. But I guarantee you they would rather get paid than not. So they will work with you on that. The other thing that you can do is say, if you notice this, the first part of the payday, there's not much going on from like the 13th to the 26th. There's not much going on. So say you're $200 short on the second payday. You know, all those bills come in and you're $200 short. You could say, I'm going to make sure I keep $200 from that first one so that it can roll into the next one to help you with those bills. So those two ways that you can work with that, with your bills there.
Now those are hard categories. Remember this, non-negotiable, must be paid. Now we're going to move on to the next one here. Oh, Karen already covered that.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to talk about soft. Go ahead, baby.
The soft categories are those things that on your budget that we've had you feeling well, food is kind of a hard versus soft because you have to eat, but the amount you spend can be a little flexible. They're like the clothing, the auto repair, the housing repair, any of those things that you have a little more control on, entertainment, miscellaneous. So what you want to do is look at how your payday falls, you know, what comes out of each one. And that's what the one that has the most extra is the ones you want to plug your soft categories into. So in this case, you know, you're just saying, okay, I'm easier on the 13th payday, so I'm going to take food, dry cleaning, auto repair, and gifts out of that one. But on this bottom one, I don't have so much left over because my bills are bigger at the end of the month. So I'm going to take the clothing, the hobbies, and the haircuts out of that one. So you get to choose on the soft categories what payday you want to take it out of. And remember that most things will not be zero. There should be something in there. So you want to decide when you take it out. And even this can include savings. You can decide to say, okay, I've decided I'm going to put $25 a month into savings. Which payday does that best come out of? So it doesn't hurt me so much.
Now notice that we use as an example here that the money that they have to spend is exactly even. The payday's $14.25 here and $14.25 there. So what is going to help you decide is how much is coming out. You need to know when it's coming out on the calendar so you can make decisions on where to plug in soft categories. So here's an example of dividing the month. So the net spendable income in our example that we just went through is $28.50, all right? So the first payday they received $14.25, second payday $14.25. So they looked at the hard categories. You're going to do the same thing this week. You're going to plug them into the calendar on your hard categories. In this case, out of the first payday, these are the hard categories they have. So they figured out that after they added all these up, they still have enough money to put in these soft categories: cable, home repairs, roadside assistance, and gifts. And every penny out of that $14.25 is accounted for in this first half, that first payday. Make sense? Second time they get paid, here's the hard categories that they have out of that category. They check their calendar, this is what comes out. Based on that, you see that there's less coming out in this example, and they were able to put for soft categories, gas for the car, auto repairs, clothing, etc., etc. In other words, every dollar of net spendable income during the month is accounted for within the budget. I cannot overemphasize how important it is to understand how money moves in your family. When are things coming in? When are things going out? When are you going to do these items and take care of them, all right? Any questions on this form?
And Dorothy, for you, you know, you get paid on the first, the third. So you're going to have just the third, and then you're just going to have listed on your calendar the days everything is due, and then just decide what you're going to do with your soft categories.
It's actually easier to budget with one paycheck. because you don't have to worry about what comes out when. It all comes out that month.
It's just going to be, you're going to know the days you're going to pay them.
Now you have this example on page 31 to refer to this week as you go through it. Now please understand this. This is going to take time. This is not easy. It looks easy because we're going through it, but it's really not. You have to sit down and you have to understand and look at when everything is moving in your life financially. Questions about this?
And
Okay.
if you're a person of the, well, I have this much grace period,
Stop it.
Stop that.
Don't do that anymore.
That will kill you.
Don't do that anymore. All right, questions about that calendar? Ask them now. Questions about the calendar? Okay, yes ma'am.
So if, say, Matt and I, we both work full-time and we have our, is it good to just have 2 calendars? Because it'll be probably a lot to choose from.
No, you should be able to do it all as one. You guys have everything combined, right? You have everything combined. Just do it as one. Just think, you got paid the first part of the month and you got paid cash at the same time in the first month. Put the numbers together, figure out what you have and go from there. Keep it simple. By the way, if you are in a relationship and your money is separated, I cannot tell you how important it is to start merging that stuff together. It just makes everything easy. Makes it easy. So try to avoid that. Yes?
Hey, I'm on a fixed income and I get paid tomorrow. My rent is due by the 1st. Should I go ahead and pay the rent early?
It's due the 1st?
Yeah.
So is that going to come out?
1st of the month.
Okay, so is this,
paid
today's the
30.
19th. Is this your first paycheck that you've received?
No.
Second. So this is your second payday. So that hard category of paying your rent would be out of this paycheck, or do you get one more paycheck between now and then?
Oh, no.
Okay, so it'll come out of this one. You can certainly pay it early.
Yeah.
That way I know what I've got to work with.
Exactly
That's
right.
right.
You know what you're going to work with.
Without getting an eviction notice.
Yeah, we don't want eviction notices. That's very important.
And don't forget, if you do things automatic bank draft, make sure you record those on there. Don't just
Yeah.
think about the things that you're getting a bill for. If you're
Don't forget
if
about
something's
that.
coming out automatically, make sure you write that on your calendar as well.
Okay.
All right? Questions? Go ahead.
One of the things that I run into, and I'm getting better, but it's just my honesty's coming out, is I am very much, I don't want to pay things late. So I do the automatic, and sometimes I don't have the money. So not only do they take it, but they take $35.
Correct. Penalty.
Because the credit card,
Right.
you know, and so sometimes I'm like, I wonder if it would have been better to pay it late and then with a smaller fee than the 35. But where do the bank fees go? Do they go to?
They are the profit margin in the bank. Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
It kills me.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
When you do this, yeah, when
Yeah.
you do this, this will help because you'll be organized. Then you can change the dates if you do it by a bank draft, and you can make adjustments on that to make it work. And then should, in the future, as you start working this thing out, I'd welcome the opportunity for the 3 of us to sit down and just kind of walk through that, take a look at where you're at. Okay. You guys know what I charge for personal one-on-one meetings, right? Pamela, what do I charge? It's charged 0, but I do accept cookies, chocolate chip cookies. I'm in. You know, I'll take that. I want those homemade ones. I don't want none of that store-bought junk. I want homemade chocolate chip cookies. So I don't charge, but please take advantage of the offer to do that. All right, good to go on the calendar. All right, take your homework. It's at the head of the table. Everybody grab your homework. And let's start walking through this a little bit. All right, everybody have the homework. Okay, let's look at it. You're going to have your money date. I want you to talk about what is going on in your financial life. Remember, you have a money date anytime a financial decision has to be made or anytime it's a payday. You work with your spouse, your partner, whoever you're working with, or your accountability partner, and make decisions. Be sure the budget analysis is based on your goals because you're going to complete the budget analysis this week. That's your homework. Complete the budget analysis worksheet. Bring it with you next week. Then I want you to determine what comes out when using the calendar, and I want to go through that with you next week as well. Continue tracking your expenditures daily. All right, everybody, put your right hand up. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
I will write down every expense this week.
I will write down every expense this week.
Or Mike can yell at me next week. All right, good, we're in. Guys, you gotta do it. It's that important. Make it happen, all right? Make it happen. Next week, it's all about making this binder start working for you. We're starting to take this information that we have, and we're gonna start using that binder to make it work. So, let me reiterate the homework one more time, and I'm gonna cut you loose. First of all, you are going to complete the budget analysis worksheet this week. And you're going to look at it in the same eyes that you had when you did what you did to the Smith family. That poor family. Oh my. Then you're going to fill out the calendar and determine what comes out each payday. And then you're going to track your expenditures. And next week we're going to go over that. Final questions for me. Honey? Let's pray and we'll let you go. Dear Lord, I just ask you this week to open up the calendars of the people that are here today. Give them the time to be able to sit down, talk about what's going on financially, to be able to put pen to paper and look very realistically at what is going on in their lives. Lord, I know that this is a lot of work, and I just ask you to give them patience and calm as we go through this. Bring us all back together safely next week. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Bless you all. Have a wonderful week.